We had talked in one of our programs, one of our segments earlier, about problems with LVT. And I'm wondering, and that you had said you had gotten many calls on that. Is that continuing, or has that pretty much been settled in a thing of the past?
No, that's LVP in particular, the planks, one of the biggest problems in the industry. Constant. Curling, cupping, shrinking. That's because it is, and we alluded to this earlier on in our conversation, or spoke about it. You get a very popular product. Everybody and his brother wants to jump into the market, whether they're domestic or foreign, and the market gets flooded with product that, we start here as far as price is concerned, and then we still want to drive it to the bottom, and every time you cheapen something up, you're taking something out. And as you do that, or you're leaving out a step. So we have products that are dimensionally unstable. We have products that have planar instabilities, which means they curl. We have products that have wear layers on them that are not sufficient to perform, where you wear right through the material. And I can show you multitudes of pictures or samples that we've got in here that these are the cases.
So these are basically shortcuts taken with a particular product, and that's...
Yeah, the plank in particular. The plank is, and everybody loves the stuff, so what happens then is you want to start putting things in a commercial environment, and more and more we're seeing hard surface flooring materials going into places they haven't been before. Hospitality, for example, where you're putting in wood floors or plank, the vinyl plank, and doing things to them. First of all, maybe putting the wrong product in and then maintaining them. You're coming in, and we've seen situations where you put this stuff in college dormitories, and your maintenance staff is not aware of anything, and they come in and start flooding it with water, and all of a sudden, stuff curls like a potato chip. Vinyl is reactive to things that people don't think it is, and so it's a big problem. Yeah, it's a huge problem.
So what is there even? Is there a rule of thumb? I mean, I suppose if you have a name brand product, that's going to somewhat ensure you of the quality. Are there other rules of thumb?
Know who you're buying from. Have a track record of the product. Talk to the people who are manufacturing it. Now, your bigger people, Mannington, for example, who has state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities, which I've gone to look at, they have a handle on stuff like you wouldn't believe. Doesn't mean that they're never going to have a problem, because as long as you're making whatever product it is, I don't care if you're making computers, cars, or floor covering material, you're going to run into some problems.
Basically, the problem here was a quality situation.
They understand what's going on out there, and I'm not saying they're the only ones. Shaw's built a plant. Mohawk is in the business. We're in the flooring industry. We're not in the carpet industry anymore in Dalton. It's all types of flooring, and there's learning curves. But you need to understand that if I learned many years ago from someone, either you control the product or the product controls you. You have to understand you need to control the product. And then people who are buying the product understand where they're going to get a good product, and they're not going to have a problem with it, and this is what we're going to use. So, and therein lies another problem, economics. People trying to buy cheaper stuff and thinking, I can get something that looks exactly like this higher quality, and I'm buying this, and the next thing you know, we put this in, and it's a commercial job, and it's 10,000 yards or 100,000 square feet, and we have a catastrophic failure, and it's like, oops, now what? Well,
that's the thing, and I think one of the things, I know we had done a segment at one point on the service that you had mentioned earlier, coming in on the front end, talking about the quality, talking about the job site, and looking at problems before they occur, basically, and that probably is a wise thing to do.
Oh, it's extraordinarily wise. And I'm not saying that just because of us. We're the only ones that actually offer that service because we can interpret what's happened. I'll give you an example. We just had an airport out in the Midwest that had written a spec, and they wanted a particular fiber, and they got all these samples in from manufacturers who were submitting them as meeting the spec. And so what they did is they said, look, we don't know what we're doing. we want you to evaluate, and I think they sent in like 26 different products. We want you to evaluate these products to tell us if, in fact, we're getting what we're paying for, and we need to know that. Well, we did. And sure enough, there was a boatload of them that didn't qualify.
Really?
Because they were supposed to have been, and I'll tell you, they were supposed to have been type 6/6 nylon. And that was what the spec called for, plus other things. Well, we find that there was a blend of 6 and 6/6. We found others that were 6s, and we just said, they don't qualify. I mean, they're out. You can't tell that by looking.
Yeah.
So they would have been ill-served if they just said, we're going to go with the least expensive one of these that we like the way it looks, not knowing from Adam what they were getting.
That would have been a big mistake. Let me ask another question, too. I know very often an inspector will go out, they'll look at a problem, they'll send it in, get it tested.
Mm-hmm.
The tests come back to maybe the inspector, maybe the retailer, or even the customer itself or the property owner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they've got this test, and they have no clue what that test means.
Might as well be written in Arabic.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea how to interpret the test. They don't know. They don't know what. And the testing agency gets the material in, and you're going to give them, for example, that, and here, we need this test run. They conduct the test. They don't know what they're supposed to be looking for.
Well, but they do it. They do what they do.
Absolutely, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They don't know what your problem is, or you may have discussed it with somebody at the lab, and okay, send it in, we'll test it, and the lab tests it according
But
to...
even if they know and you get the results, okay, this is 22 and this is when, what does that mean?
That's right. What does it mean? You have no idea what it means because there's no context for which to compare it, and you haven't taken the problem and learned what the problem. What type of a problem are you having, Dave? I mean, that's like going to the doctor and he said, and you say, I'm really feeling run down and listless, and so well, let's take your temperature, let's do this, and let's do a blood test, and that's probably even more specific, and everything looks good to me. Well, I still feel terrible. Something's got to be wrong, So in the case of flooring, it's even more benign than that. Is that you send something in, the lab and all their good conscience doing what they do, test the material, sends you back the test report that you have no clue what you got.
So what's to do? I mean, what do you do?
Call us.
Oh, you do that?
Yes, that is a bigger part of our business. We will tell you what tests need to be. We do this every day. Well, we got
so
a bunch
you need to get involved before the test goes to the lab.
We need to. There's two sides to the coin. We need to get involved prior or during the selection process, because when you get the architect or the designer, this is one of the last things they do. They'll put what do you call it? An intern on selecting stuff, and they're supposed to be picking out all kinds of things. They're not experts in this. So we've had this conversation, and actually, at a StarNet meeting, there was an architect designer was giving a presentation. He and I got to talking, and we've actually wrote something up, and I wrote something about it not that long ago. But he says, you're absolutely correct. We're coming in at the last end, we're picking this stuff, and it doesn't get a chance to, and then it just gets installed. And then if there's a problem, it's like, uh-oh, what happened? So more and more, we get involved in front end of the work, which is really a good investment because it's like comparing a molecule to a mountain. Yes, it's going to cost you some money, but by comparison, when you have a failure, would you rather spend several $1,000s, or would you rather spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and then tick everybody off and have to shut the business down to resolve the issue? So we're doing more of that as far as, let me look at your spec, see what you got, or we even write the spec. We've got architectural firms that'll call us and say, can you write the spec for this? It's a 1 million square foot job. We don't want to write the spec.
If somebody has a problem, they send it in, it goes into the lab, they get a report back that's in Swahili to them. You can say, okay, here's what it means, and here's what, here's the situation with your particular product.
Or you send it to us, we send it to the lab, because we work very closely with the top lab in the industry here in town. we'll tell you what tests you need and what are you trying to accomplish. Okay, so, and there's times, we actually did a project for somebody evaluating.
Is it bigger than a bread box?
That's, yeah, evaluating polyester carpets used in the multifamily market and everything else. And we found out that they were similar, but one of them in particular was much better. And we could even make it better. And because I said, if you change this one thing, you will make this product perform as well as a nylon. I mean, as far as appearance retention and everything else. And it only was a tweak. And we can identify that. Or we can say, we're using this, we may do it for, we may subject it to structural integrity tests, take it apart, traffic, performance. We can even get people to walk on it and say, you know what, if you got too much yellow in this one area, it's too bright a yellow. Yellow is the worst color in the world because it uglies out, it shows soil. Make it more of a goldy color, bingo. And that's all they had to change. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be really upset. Hey, that happened at the Atlanta airport. When they redid the Atlanta airport, we get a call from the airport, and because we're traveling in and out of there a lot, we saw the problem as it was occurring. Somebody made a unwise decision to put colors in that were nowhere near what they needed as far as performing, and they were uglying out and getting filthy and everything else. And they called, and we had priced out what our services were going to cost. They didn't want to spend the money. But what wound up happening anyway is all of that original carpet that they put in the holding areas at the gates, they took out. And they put something in that was more appropriate as far as color was concerned. Well, they wasted a ton of money doing that. And, and it was a huge multi-millions of dollar project. And if they had just said, look, this is what we're looking at, this is what we want to achieve. No. I just finished doing the Portland airport in Portland, Oregon. There was a $13 million carpet replacement. Just a carpet job. Nothing else. They weren't doing anything else. We, along with J&J, built them a product that everybody said wouldn't work. And I said, even J&J said, it's not going to work. Trust me. We're going to make this work because I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. And together, we worked that, and that stuff it's a one-of-a-kind product. It's an extraordinary product because we did things to it to make it perform. So if we're working on a project ahead of time, we can say, no, we can say, look, this is what you need to do, and you're not going to have a problem. We got the manufacturer on board. We got the end user on board. Everybody's on board. We're all going in the same direction. Everybody's happy. After the fact, if you have a failure, on the other hand, we can come in and tell you what went wrong and why. Even if it's just like, okay, Dave, tell me what you were thinking when you did this that gave you the impression that this was actually going to work.
I hear you.
When here on this line, and we talked about that, on this line right here, the manufacturer says you can't do this. Did you? Anybody read this? Apparently not. So this is what we got. Now, to fix it, here's what it's going to take. Either you're going to spend $250,000, and this is, I'm talking about something that we just recently completed. It's going to cost you either $250,000, so you got to do everything over again, or we can take you from the Band-Aid approach to the extreme. You tell me what you want to do. Well, we'd like to know both. Okay. You can isolate this, we can do this, we can implement this technology here, and this, that, and the other thing, and you can live with this for however long you want to live with it. But this is what you actually should do. This is what you should have done to start with. And by the way, you should have listened to the flooring contractor who you didn't, who told you you're going to have a problem, and you wound up having exactly the problem he told you you were going to have.
Listen to the neighborhood flooring contractor. That's the lesson.
Well, absolutely. The guys who are out there, Starnet guys and flooring contractors like that, who are out there to do this every day, they don't have the same. Do they have problems? Yeah, but most of the time when they have a problem, it's something that unique that popped up. It's not going to because they got stupid. It's because you're working with them and they're saying, we want to use this, that, and the other thing. Well, we want you to use this product because we've been using this and we know that there's no problems with it and it's actually going to perform and we know how to install it, we know what you got to do and everything else. Great. Instead of somebody else deciding, hey, this is what we want to use because it was, it's got components that are green and all these other things, and it tanked
Makes-
within months.
Makes total sense. Good place to leave it, Lou. Always good
Okay,
talking with
my
you.
pleasure, Dave. I've enjoyed this. This was
Well,
different.
it was a lot different than what we
Oh,
usually
yeah.
do.
Yeah,
and
this
I
is
think
good.
It was most interesting. We covered a lot more bases.
We did.
Thanks very much, and Happy New Year again.
Same to you. Thank you, Dave, and Happy New Year to our viewers and our listeners. And if you need help, call. Doesn't cost anything to talk to us.
And we've been talking with Lew Migliore. He is the industry's troubleshooter. He has LGM and Associates Technical Flooring Services. And this is Talk Floor TV.